brings us to our last proposition, Proposition 25. I know it's been a long couple of hours with me. If you were just watching this and you jumped into 25, lucky you. All right, so Prop 25, replace cash bail with risk assessment referendum. I'm kind of shaking the beginning of this, but at the end you'll see where I'm at. So a yes vote is to uphold the contested legislation, Senate Bill 10, which would replace cash bail with risk assessment for detained suspects awaiting trials. So this is something that passed something already passed. They just needed the people's support. So Senate Bill 10 is what we're passing right now. All right, so the Senate already passed this. This is for us saying, okay, we agree with this too. So no vote is to repeal the contested legislation, Senate Bill 10, thus keeping in place the use of cash bail for detained suspects awaiting trials. All right, so before we go into cash bail and not cash bail, let's go into how bail works. So as of 2019, California utilized a cash bail system to release detained criminal suspects before their trials. Suspects paid a cash bond to be released from jail pending trial with the promise to return to court for trial and hearings. The cash bond was repaid to suspects after their criminal trials were completed, no matter the outcome. The Judicial Council of California, which is a rulemaking department of the state's judicial system, described bail as a tool to ensure the presence of the defendants before the court. The state's countywide superior courts are responsible for setting cash bail amounts for crimes, and judges were permitted to adjust the cash bail amounts upward or downward. Suspects could post bail with their own money or through a commercial bail bond agent who pays the full bail amount in exchange for a non-refundable premium from suspects. In California, there was no law setting or capping premium on bail bonds. According to the California Department of Insurance, agents typically charged around 10%. Typically charge around 10% is that some charge 15, some charge 5. They're just saying average 10. All right, so if the bail was $200,000, you had to pay $20,000 for the bail bond at the end. So what was SB 10 designed to change about the bail in California? So SB 10 was designed to make California the first state to end the use of cash bail for all detained suspects awaiting trials. The legislation would replace the state's cash bail system with a risk assessment to determine whether a detained suspect should be granted pretrial release and under what conditions. The risk assessment would categorize suspects as low risk, medium risk, or high risk. Suspects deemed as having low risk or failing to appear in court and a low risk to public safety would be released from jail, while those deemed high risk would remain in jail with a chance to argue for their release before a judge. Those deemed a medium risk could be released or detained depending on the local court rules. SB 10 would exempt suspects of misdemeanors with exemptions from needing a risk assessment to be released. What do you mean would exempt suspects of misdemeanors with exemptions from? Oh, so misdemeanors don't have to do the bail thing. SB 10 would require the superior courts to establish pretrial assessment divisions, which would be tasked with conducting risk assessments and making recommendations for conditions of release. The State Judicial Council would decide which risk assessment tools are valid for use. SB 10 would not itself mandate what factors the assessment tools need to consider, but the bill would state that the tools should be demonstrated by scientific research to be accurate and reliable. So you still don't know how you're going to measure this stuff, but they should be accurate and reliable. But you still don't know what you're going to measure. Okay. How did the veto referendum get on the ballot? In the California state legislature, most Democrats, 67 out of 81, supported SB 10, while 1 of 39 Republicans supported the legislation, so mostly Democratic. California Governor Jerry Brown signed SB 10 on August 28, 2018, and the veto referendum to overturn the bill was filed on August 29. The next day, Senator Robert Hertzberg, the bill's lead sponsor, described SB 10 as a transformational shift away from valuing private wealth and toward protecting public safety. He also said that upholding legislation is ground zero in the fight over criminal justice reform. The American Bail Coalition, a nonprofit trade association, organized a political action committee, Californians Against the Reckless Bail Scheme, to lead the effort to repeal SB 10 through a veto referendum. Jeff Clayton, the coalition's executive director, stated the only debate we're having right now is the current system worse than the alternative. And the answer is no, it's not. The top 10 donors to the committee were bail bond business owners of bail bond business or companies that provided services or insurance to bail bonds. David Quintana, a California Bail Agents Association lobbyist, said, "We don't eliminate an industry and expect those people to go down quietly." Interesting. So California's 3 ACLU of affiliates oppose SB 10. issuing a joint statement saying that SB 10 is not the model for pretrial justice and racial equity that California should strive for. The statement called for new legislation to address racial bias and risk assessment tools. It's going to be true. ACLU of North California Executive Director Abdi Soltani said the group would not, however, align with bail bond businesses to overturn SB 10. Soltani stated, make no mistake, the bail industry is not interested in equal justice or equal protection of the law. They are seeking to turn back the clock to protect their bottom line. Yeah. So I don't trust the bail industry. I mean, you're making money off the bonds and off people going to jail. And I don't know how many of those people deserve to go to jail or not. Whatever. Let's keep going. So a yes vote, no vote, reject. So replace the money bail system for obtaining release from jail trial with a system based on determination of public safety and flight risk. How do they determine these things, though? Limits detention of a person in jail before trial for most misdemeanors. It's interesting. Increase state and local costs, possibly in the mid-hundreds of millions of dollars annually for new processes. Mid-hundreds of millions of dollars annually for a new process for releasing people from jail prior to trial. Unclear whether some of the increased state costs would be offset by local funds currently spent on this type of workload. Decreased county jail costs, possibly in the high tens of millions of dollars annually. Really? Unknown net impact on state and local tax revenues generally related to people spending money on goods rather than paying for release from jail prior to trial. It's interesting. Okay, so the full text is here. I ain't about to fucking read all this. It's gonna take forever. Let's check out the representatives. Oh, god damn it. Yes, vote all the Democrats and some nonpartisans. God damn, Governor Newsom. California Democratic Party? Of course. Of course. Of course. I don't like bail bonds. I think they're fucking assholes. I don't like the whole bail system either. There does need to be a system that determines your risk. I don't think the system is going to be fair. It's how do you determine fairness and equalness in this, in any way, shape, or form? And there's going to be special exemptions to all cases, and there's no rules. It's just up to the people. So I just see this for more possible corruption in the very near future. This can mean nobody goes to jail. This can mean everyone goes to fucking jail. Yeah, no. That seems weird. Or, let's see. Republican Party, California, no. Let's see why they vote yes and no. The arguments are pretty good. So arguments, lead legislative sponsor, voter referendums are supposed to be about direct democracy. Now wealthy people can simply write big checks. The reality is that California is the biggest bail market and has the highest bail rates in the country. If these companies can delay it for a year, they can make money for a year. True. But being rich is not going to make you a higher flight risk, is it? Like, I would assume having enough resources to live here comfortably would make you a lower flight risk. But at the same time, wouldn't rich people be always a higher flight risk and should never be given bail then because they can always take off? How exactly are these things going to work out? Let's read another argument for 4. There are countless examples of how unfair and unsafe the system is. True. Kenneth Humphrey, a black senior citizen from San Francisco, accused of stealing $5 in a bottle of cologne, burglary, and elder abuse. Unable to pay his way out, he was forced to wait in jail for almost an entire year before his court date. Well, these are just stupid fucking laws that should be removed. On any given day in California, there are nearly 50,000 people just like Kenneth Humphrey at risk of losing their jobs, homes, as they languish in jail. Meanwhile, Brock Turner was charged and convicted on multiple accounts of sexual assault of violent felony. Despite the severity of his charges, his bail was set at just $150K. Turner, now a registered sex offender, paid his bail and was immediately released back into the community as he awaited trial. Yeah, that's stupid. How much was the bail for the other guy? How come you didn't tell me that? Yeah. I mean, these are bad cases. Wow. This is true. When the innocent can't afford an unrefundable fee of $5,000 or more to a bail bond company, but also can't afford to stay in jail, risking their jobs or homes while they await their trial, some will plead guilty, resulting in a permanent criminal record. In jail, most will receive little to no mental health care. And for many, incarceration will make existing conditions worse. A yes vote, but don't expect the bail industry to go quiet. It's a $2 billion for profit industry led by predatory bail bond insurance. Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't have this many goddamn bail bond needed if we stopped arresting people at the rates we do arrest them for stupid shit like drugs. Drug possession is a dumbass thing, and I know most people convicted of drug possession have been knocked down from selling, but still, why the fuck are people getting in trouble with drugs? The whole justice system and what we define as crime needs to be simplified and reformed. This fucking overlapping bullshit, and like the other guy, $150,000 bail for a multiple what's it called? What do they call it? Sex offenses, sexual assaults. Shit, I'm not trying to miscategorize it. Let me get to the right thing. Blah 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 blah. Here, multiple counts of sexual assault. Yeah. Let's go to pro or against. This legislation is a reckless attempt at changing the state's bail system and is fundamentally bad for California. While we agree that bail reform is necessary, this costly, reckless plan will use racially biased computer algorithms to decide who gets stuck in jail and who goes free. That's not right. How do you decide? Oh, I know why. It's like insurance. It's going to be like insurance. Since this first portion of the population tends to commit a higher level of crime, then their risk of flight would be increased. So they have a higher risk factor because everyone else in similar, other people in similar situations and similar ethnicity and backgrounds have done this kinds of actions. So yeah, I think when you start dealing with generalizations and you stop going into individual cases, we start getting into real fucking problems. That's a good point there. The biggest flaw in SB 10 is the use of computer programs to make important justice decisions. That's really bad. These are the same type of algorithms that big data companies use to bombard us with ads every day. And some of these ads fucking suck. While I might appreciate an algorithm recommending books or television shows, I have long been against their use in making determination over insurance rates and whether or not someone gets a home loan or credit card. The use of algorithms has been proven to discriminate against the poor, minorities, and people who live in certain neighborhoods. Relying on algorithms to make important criminal justice decisions is even more appalling. That's true. If they're actually using computer algorithms to figure out their flight risk, you guys don't even have a system set up for all this shit yet. You guys are imagining a system set up for all this. You're going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars in the next couple of years to create a new system. That probably won't fucking work. I'm sorry. I don't trust government and government expenditures. Stop arresting so many goddamn people. Stop making bullshit laws and making up bullshit crimes. Like, put real criminals behind bars. That's all we gotta do. Check the donors like we did on everything else. Yes, 8.3 million. No, 9.0. 9 million, roughly. Pretty good numbers here from both sides. Let's check who was supporting them though. Methodology. Where was the support? Oh yeah, the California Democratic Party and Republican. I already went through this. Man, it's been a long day. All right, donors. Bunch of people I don't know. No. Citizens for Equal Justice for All. These probably have to do with insurance bail bond companies. They probably do. Oh, the media has nothing but yes votes. Let's see what LA has to say. They are correct that the ballot measure is imperfect, but there must remain adequate safeguards for public safety. Besides, SB 10 and other laws adopted in its wake include process for monitoring compliance, correcting problems, and working out the kinks in the interest of justice. The mandate to analyze pretrial detention data will provide a long overdue examination of California court operations and disparities among counties. Proposition 25 is an important step toward better justice. I don't know. Is it? Is it? 42 yes. Democrats, no. 7 no. 6 not voting. 24 no's on state assembly. 25 yes Democrats. 0 no. 0 no's. And 1 Republican yes. 12 no's for the state Senate. And 1 not voting for Republican or Democrat. Interesting. Interesting. I don't understand how come a simple majority and then sometimes is 2/3. Oh, I guess it's new legislation versus amendments and stuff. Interesting.